Live?
Live. We're live. Yes. What's
Hey.
up, everybody? Welcome
Hi.
back.
Hello. We took a
Darren, how
little
are
week
you?
break, but we're back. Coming in hot.
We're back. Coming in
Feeling
hot,
good.
feeling good,
Yeah.
and excited to talk
Juiced
some
up,
Marvel
ready to
stuff.
go.
I actually, you know what? We should mention this too. This is really
Hmm.
important. We
Okay.
both have unique ice cubes. I have a circular ice cube, and you have a
I have a
square.
square ice cube, but I think this is just means that I care a little bit too much about the cocktails that I be ingesting that I need the ice cube to fit my vibe. So
No, but this is weirder, is that this isn't even alcoholic, and I still wanted the circular cube just because I think it's
because
freaking
they
cool.
they melt slower, bro.
They melt
Science.
slower. I know. It's
Science.
interesting. And I thought, honestly, I needed a reason to justify it. And so the scientific answer is cool, but I just wanted the circle. Like, I was like, that's just cool. You know what I mean? It's cool enough for me.
Well, now I know
So
what to get you for your birthday. Just like weird ice cube molds that are large, girthy, and unique.
please do. Please do. That actually sounds fan
It's my
freaking
Tinder
tastic.
profile.
Oh my God. That sounds fan freaking tastic. Speaking of, all right, I have no good transition. Let's just get into the Black
Large,
Panther.
girthy, and unique? What?
Yeah,
Come on.
I mean, it is what it is. Well, let's get into the Black Panther news. We were talking about earlier off air some of the weirdness, the comments made by Martin Freedman,
Yeah.
some of our concerns just in
Yeah.
general. I guess let's just kind of start with your take on just your general thoughts on his comments.
My general take on his comments are I'm not really sure what to make of it because I'm not sure if he's the best source. Because from my experience with Marvel, they are very particular about who they give all the information to. So they'll give
Right.
people just this part of the script or this part of the story, like very much know what you need to know. And as someone who is not like a super main important character, like yes, he's in the entire movie, I would imagine that he may not be privy to a lot of like the emotional story building parts, but would be privy to like the climactic conflict shift parts. So that might make for a weird experience. And then if you just get like a vague explanation of it, you're like, does this make sense? And Ryan Coogler's just like, trust me, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be fine. But the fact that Letitia Wright said, that it's gonna be what did she say, that it does credit to his legacy and
Yeah.
that it's really well done. And so I think I trust a little more of like Letitia's take on it because I would imagine she's a little more hand in hand in that regard. So yeah, and then also another part of it is like we were joking about, where is the media training? Like, dude,
Right.
does like Disney or Marvel prep these dudes at all, or did they just give them like a mafia level mob contract? Where like, don't fucking say a thing, and then just
Don't
like
say a
kick them
thing.
out.
And then they have no idea like what they can actually say. No, and it's
Yeah.
funny because I was we were talking about this off air too. It seems like it could be a pandy thing too, where a
Yeah.
lot of these actors are just they literally like
No
just
idea.
went crazy last year, and now they're like in front of people again, and it's like deer in the headlights, and you're like,
Yeah.
what? And what are things? Because even like Andrew Garfield and some of these other people, Emily Blunt on Stern's
So
like
stumbly.
comic book movies,
Like,
you know.
don't you guys talk and perform for a living? Okay, and yeah, so we were saying where it's like I thought this was like a Disney Marvel thing, right? Like maybe they're not just prepping these people, because I would think in a corporation that big with information this delicate, right,
Yeah.
that they would prep people like this is what you can say, this is what you should say to kind of get like the buzz going. Because I would think that they would have media training throughout the whole process. Like, yeah, you can start doing interviews, just drop a little bit here, drop a little bit there, say a hard no here, even though it's true, just say a hard no and like brush
Mhm.
it off. But they just seem so stumbly that I'm like,
Yeah.
it feels like it's not planned. But then I saw Ewan McGregor talking about the Obi-Wan show. What a pro! Fucking
Mhm.
like that is how a pro handles it, because that felt very, very like I got to film a scene with someone who's really important to me. That's all I'll say about that. And they're like, someone you see before, like someone you've been in a movie before. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, but then it's like, of course, we're like, oh, well, it might be,
Yeah,
but he's
it
just
could
like, no,
be. Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
really cool and really important to me. That's all I'm gonna
Yep.
say about that. And you're like, that was like perfect. That was
Yeah.
like,
And
what a
he
pro.
even said, I think, prior to that, when talking about Darth Vader, while Jimmy was sort of leading him, he said, or maybe he's not in the film at all, and maybe I haven't been in his trailer. Like, sort of saying that. So, like, he was covering all bases.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with you. It could, I don't know what's going on, but there's definitely some weirdness going on in a bunch of these different
Yeah.
interviews recently with these actors.
The Andrew Garfield one was like hilarious.
I mean, he's been just getting berated, dude. Like,
well, it's just so funny. He was like, "Oh no, absolutely not." Then like maybe you're like, bro, you need like go call Sony up and have someone have your back because you do not know what the fuck you're doing.
Well, he's
like,
probably watching like content like ours or just even tweets and stuff. I'm sure he even says in one of the interviews he watches Twitter. He has a Twitter account that's sort of secret because he doesn't have a public one, I guess. So he's out there checking out what's going on and probably just feeling weird, about being put in that situation.
Yeah.
So yeah,
right. Tough. He needs to learn the artful grace of teasing without just being like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not. And then being like, oh wait, but don't forget about me. Still talking about me though. You're like,
I know, yeah, for sure. But Freedman, you had sort of mentioned too that he should be a seasoned pro as well. I mean, he coming from Lord of the Rings, yeah. So I saw a comment in the chat that sort of indicated that they thought his comments could have been similar to Mark Hamill's comments before The Last Jedi, and I want to sort of address that for a second because I kind of see maybe where that person's coming from. But as you were saying, your point, I think, was such a good one. He's not like Luke Skywalker in that film.
Yeah.
Ross, at the most, would be sort of a liaison. I very much doubt he's going to be the centered, like, sort of white person for the film the way he sort of was in the first movie. They're not going to do that again. But Wakanda's opened up to the world. You know what I mean? So there'll probably be a lot of different people in the film. So I don't think, even if the scenes that he is in are really weird, and they potentially could be really weird, maybe he's not lying. It doesn't necessarily indicate that the main plot of the film is going to be super weird or that the movie's going to go in a different direction. But it does make me pretty interested in like what it could exactly mean given even that context. So like, would Ross be in, sort of military scenes with the government? Is there the government pressure for a new Black Panther after T'Challa falls?
It's like hard to, like, when you're thinking of the concept of like why they would bring a liaison character like that back. I mean, like, how many super important moments can he be in, especially if they are going to come up with some kind of antagonist? I'm sure that antagonist will have like way more screen time than like the past liaison for the antagonist in the previous film. So sure. I wouldn't imagine, or maybe he does have a lot into it. I don't know, but I know at the very least they got a tough job on their hands. So I'm sure it's not a very, perfectly packaged, seamless story. They're working with a lot of external variables here, and they have a lot of burden and a lot of like weight and societal pressures on their shoulders. So either way, they probably are kind of like, Frankensteining a pretty interesting story right now. But I trust Ryan Coogler, man. Like, I really do think that he has the stones and the vision and like the artistic intention to make something that really hits you straight in the feels. I was thinking, like, you remember when Black Panther came out, there was that, was it Variety or Vanity Fair, where he's just like breaking down the scenes and stuff. I went in such a black hole when Black Panther came out, like watching all the Ryan Coogler interviews, because just watching him talk about the project was a delight. Like, he really does give a fuck, and he's so in it, and so he thinks about things so abstractly, like in regards to just like costume, and like I remember one of the things he brought up was just like hair. And like the societal pressures of like African American women and African women in general in their hair and those standards, and like wanting to interpret that in the Dora Milaje, just like even in the fight scene when she like takes the wig off, it's like he thinks about all of these like little minutia in the middle of this grand project that he's doing. So trust him.
Yeah, he's pretty freaking excellent for sure. I certainly trust him. I think that, juxtaposing what Martin said to what Letitia said, and Letitia says that like he really seems to have found this just great story that really honors the first film and the legacy. That is really, really interesting to me. And I'm now even more interested in that, the fact that like Martin thinks it's so weird, right? And some of our, like my speculation, my personal speculation, of course, has been sort of tied to maybe a multiverse idea, or, Killmonger sort of perhaps taking over. And there's been some sort of rumors of Michael B. Jordan and him maybe being involved. Do you have any feelings about either one of those options, or?
I think that the multiverse is a tough, a tough pill to swallow, regardless. Especially like an old ass dude like Martin Freeman. I'm sure if he gets a multiverse script where he's like, "Now listen here. First there was the original Black Panther, and then that's our current Black Panther. But if we bring in," he's probably reading it like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
what?
sure.
Can't compute. But
Yeah.
I really do think multiverse is. I mean, we already know it's the direction they're going with a lot of the stuff, and it's very confusing. It's very confusing for people who understand the multiverse, reading multiverse stories to like keep track of everything. So I would imagine to like the layman's, just general public, they can get very confused.
So I mean, it would track. You know what I mean? For sure.
Yeah.
If that could be it. What do you think? Do you think that Eric coming back too would be weird though? You know what I mean? Weird enough for him to say that?
I can't land on a decision for that, man. Like I really, really can't. Like I really like Michael B. Jordan as an actor. As an actor, I like Michael B. Jordan as an actor. In Killmonger, he was so excellent. Like he was so good. And I always appreciate an actor that you can tell gives like 110% to these roles. Just has like a passion,
ridiculous.
Physicality, just passion, just like getting into the world, into the character itself. Like he really is an actor that gives 110% to these projects. So if there was a way for him to come back, I'd love to see it. But it does seem like a weird thing to do based on the ending that they gave him, like how they're going to conjure that up. And like, it's different in Marvel comics, right? Where they're like killing people off all the time. And they're like, they're back. Just quiet. They're back. Like they don't really like spend a lot of time making it make sense. They just like plop them back in. It's not going to work. I think in the movie universe, they're going to have to work a little bit harder. So I don't know, like if it's like a little funky and freaky just to get him back in, I don't know if I'm down, but I think he would be a good time regardless. So I'm just like, I keep going back and forth. I don't know. I kind of think I just want either a recast, like somebody new, or they can really just lean into that diversity narrative that they're super on about right now, and make it a lady.
Yeah, they could. I mean, Shuri, I think, was one of the early picks. Yeah. There was some confusion with like the comments that she had made. She did sort of make a comment online saying like cancel Black Panther 2. She tweeted that and then had to like delete it. Some people said she was trolling or joking or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know about that. It seems like everybody, from what I understand, and just it's all sort of outside perspective, but it seems like whatever story Ryan came up with, it has rallied the troops, and everybody believes in it, and everybody follows him as a leader and understands the vision and why he's doing it. And maybe to your point earlier, he probably just has a great way of explaining it to people, right? Yeah. Maybe that's what Martin was trying to say, where he was like, I thought it was weird, but he's like, just go with me on it. But you know what? Honestly, like, just that's me trying to be really charitable. Like the more I think about his comments, like he even kind of says in there, he basically says like, I hope we make a good movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's kind of weird.
Ultimately said you're in for a treat. You know?
But he kind of says like, or he kind of like even cushions that with like, I hope. You know what I mean? Like it's like weird to me. I don't know. It's something that I wish hadn't gotten out in the press at a time when some of these other stories are out there. Yeah. And this sort of just weird vibe is out there right now. You know what I mean?
I really wish it wasn't him making the comments about the Black Panther movie coming up, honestly.
Well, honestly, yeah, in general. But beyond just that, the fact that he made these comments is pretty fucking interesting. You know what I mean? Because if he would have just said almost anything else, it probably wouldn't be a story. You know what I mean? So why did he have to say this shit?
Again, back to media training. Was in the media training, did it say it's weird?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Disney, Marvel, come on, get these people in a room. Like all you have to do is watch a Tom Holland interview ever and know just like, gotta get these guys like.
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't that a toolbox for handling these questions? Because you want to create buzz, but you don't want to give things away, but you still want it to seem exciting and not like slightly disparaging comments. I mean,
yeah, it's just interesting the way that he said it, and I wonder if he's going to get any flack for it or in trouble at all. But again, it's coming at this weird time where I mean, there's still a lot of just restrictions, and also Disney seems pretty stretched with a lot of like things that are going on with them.
Yeah.
So it seems like they can't stay on top of everything that's going on. Maybe they're even missing people in PR. Maybe they're missing people that are usually coaching them up or making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. So from the outside in, this is a fascinating time right now. Like, this is a fascinating time. You know, we were talking about the story with Neil Gaiman sort of joining up with that writers coalition that is literally all about just getting royalties paid for writers.
That shit is so wrong. Like, it's just so wrong. And, you know, Neil Gaiman, he is that bitch. Neil Gaiman is probably one of my favorite writers of all time. Like, he's so great and he has done so much. He is a writer, which is hard for people who write such like obscure weird shit that he does to reach the kind of level of notoriety and clout that he has. And he is a creator that has enough clout to influence things. And so if he's putting his name behind this, like, I think it is a big deal and that we should be paying attention. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't have to do this, but he's lending his name and his notoriety behind this, which means that it is a serious problem. And these writers, for whatever level they're at, aren't being heard. So he's like, I got to step in.
Yeah.
Like, I got to throw my Neil Gaiman brand on this because people are not paying attention. They need to pay attention. Like,
it's pretty wild.
People are getting robbed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild. And, you know, we've sort of been touching on it here and there over the past couple of weeks. And, you know, we've talked about how there's parallels to what's going on in the music industry. And it's a similar thing. We're sort of big artists over there that honestly succeeded in a way that I'm sure they watched a lot of other people not around them. They probably had their major problems. But I think one of the things that's interesting is, it seems like they, you know, Dean Allen Foster and them just won a big case, and they're finally getting their royalties for their projects. Yeah. But one of the things the article mentions is that it's really the new up and comers and the little guys that are at the most risk to be taken advantage of moving forward. There was an interesting story from Variety today where they had said, then indicated in one of the stories, that Marvel no longer has head writers on projects, which is a big thing in Hollywood. Their shows and shows usually have a head writer, which is given a lot of control, and also for the guild gets like a lot of notoriety, and they had noticed. Yeah,
it's like show creator, head writer.
Yeah.
And they like filter all the people through that.
Right. So Marvel Disney Plus shows are no longer doing that. And so the guild and Variety sort of indicated that they feel like this could set a bad precedence for basically just kind of taking advantage of writers in some way, because basically a head writer would get paid a lot more, which would it's almost like if the guild is a union. The idea is, if this writer is doing the most, and like they sort of fought for that position, and they want to hold that as a major position that writers
people are saying they don't have they have head writers, not a showrunner.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's true actually. Okay. Yeah, but regardless, there's. I
mean, either way, if this is going into like what we've been speculating about, is that like Disney and Marvel and all these big corporations are trying to shy away from staying true to comics just so they don't have to pay people, is so whack. Like, you guys are literally multi-billion-dollar corporations, and I know you stretch yourselves very thin and you have your hands on a lot of things, and while they are multi-billion-dollar corporations, not like liquid $1 billion, right? It's all like investments and projects and things planned decades out, whatever. Yeah. But regardless, the reason you have the things you have are these creative people lending these things meaning. And if you can't even take care of them, like, go fuck yourself. Like, this is the 21st century. People have Twitter. They can speak their mind. They can say when they're being treated wrong. And I'm glad that these writers are speaking up, because I really do think IP, like this battle for IP, is going to be one of the bigger battles of our next generation, and figuring out how to manage this. Because like, if this turns into like what we speculated about, where they just like stop going off comics, they don't have to pay people, that is going. That's gonna drive.
I'm
really.
I will be livid.
Like,
Yeah,
I will be so pissed.
I'm just hoping that's not the thing. That's not the case. It would be such an unfortunate thing, but also it becomes more and more real the more that some of these other things are out there. You know, it's
Yeah.
like I honestly didn't expect to find or hear about this particular story with the royalties for the sequel books. I mean, or for
Yeah.
the prequel books. I can't believe that would be a thing. You know what I mean? Like that just seems so odd to me, that they would drop the ball at such a seemingly easy win over what exactly? Like why? You know, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Or like why they wouldn't want to keep those people who have already created such wonderful things for them happy to, inspire them, incentivize them to come back in the future and create more, or like beef up a project that they're basing off their shit. Like, wouldn't they want them involved in that to make it better? Like,
well, there's sort of a weird conspiracy line that you can go on this too, where there was even talk, and there were these were big time rumors, and a lot of us speculate about this, but even at the time of George Lucas's Star Wars sequels, you could make the argument that like if Disney had the option of continuing to go with George Lucas stuff, which even if it's not necessarily that they'd have to pay more licensing to George, perhaps they'd have to honor agreements that were very generous because they weren't Disney arrangements that were made with Lucasfilm with these other artists. So it's possible that like they went in this completely they basically took a lot of the juice that Star Wars had away to prevent a bunch of like royalty shit from being paid, which would be so absurd. And if that ended up being like at any way the motivating factor for what happened, then the ultimate sin of Disney, the thing that people were concerned about when they bought Star Wars, it actually happened, which was the commoditization at the cost of the content. You know what I mean? So that would be a big, big bummer.
I have to worry too that it's just like this is how we kind of talked about that our economy is just not structured for today's world. Like maybe it's these contracts they're making with creative people are also reflecting this archaic and not adapting to the economy that we have now. So if their fear is getting stuck in these contracts where they're just like paying out the asshole for like decades and decades to come, it's like I think we need a renaissance, man, of like how this shit is packaged, structured, paid for, valued, depreciated, appreciated over time. It just it's annoying because we really are in this weird precipice, right, where like we are living in the old world but it's not working anymore, but like our entire society is built on the rules of this world, so we don't really have a choice, but like we need to make a drastic change now. It's
weird, dude. It's weird. And speaking of weird, let's get into weird comments made by Emily Blunt about that superhero life. What do you think? She was on Howard Stern. She was talking about
the Emily Blunt stuff. You know what? That was exactly what I needed to hear. That was exactly the answer I wanted. Like, if there was just like a little smidgen, a little whisper of her possibly being Sue Storm, that was exactly the kind of comment I wanted. She's not into it. She's not about it. And if you're a big name actor and you're not going to live and breathe it, then get out. It's not for you. And I honestly, also respect. She was just like, it's just not for me. I don't get it. It doesn't give, like, I don't understand the world or the value of it in general. So I'm not going to put myself in that place if I don't get something back from it. And that is exactly the attitude I want. Because while there is value in having a big name actor attached to a project to really propel it to a new level, I think with the notoriety and the clout that Disney and Star Wars and all those franchises have, they don't need a big actor. They really don't. I think there is more value in propping up a smaller name or someone who's up and coming and really giving them that opportunity than like hitching your flag to someone who's going to get bored in like a year.
Well, that, for sure. And to me, I know a lot of people disagreed with my take on it because I felt like it was a pretty definitive no, and it was different than like Andrew
Disagreed
Garfield.
in which way?
Well, because they think she's just lying like a lot of these other actors are lying, and she is
I
actually
don't.
Sue Storm. Exactly. Yeah.
I
So,
don't think so.
no way. Because why would she disparage the whole genre if she's literally going to go do it and sign that contract? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like
You
she
know
was
what I mean?
like she didn't just say like, oh no, or like, a lot of these actors have been being like, no, it's like that would be cool, but like I don't think that that's happening, or I haven't gotten the call, whatever they say it is, but they're like, oh, that would be interesting. And then you have seen a lot of actors like also say like, I would love that though, give me a call, what's up, I'm down. And she was just like, I don't get superheroes, it's not for me.
Yeah.
So
I think that was a pretty hard no. Yeah, so for me, it's a no for her. But you're right. Like that's the thing. If she doesn't want to take it seriously, or she thinks it's like whack or whatever, yeah, she's not a person that should be in there. You had a cool quote.
No,
yeah.
that was something I did want to bring up. Sorry, I'm like, there's a lot of rumbling upstairs, and I'm like telling him like, shut the fuck up.
You're good.
But yeah, so when going back to the whole big actors bringing value to a project, like there's a way that happens. Right? Like, because a big actor can totally elevate a project if they're down and if they're totally behind it and they want to make it better. And the example I will give is Miss Queen, Angelina Jolie herself. I love Angelina Jolie, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little biased because a lot of my love for her has to do with that sweet, sweet face. I mean, goddamn that face. It's one of the best faces in this planet. She truly is one of the most beautiful women on this planet.
Yeah, it's an all-time great face.
But she also, she's a big A-list, huge actress that is attaching herself to a MCU project. And she made this amazing quote that like just made me so amped and so excited for her to be a part of it. She said, when she was talking about her character, she was like, oh, she's a warrior. I'm going to have to work very, very hard to give the Marvel Cinematic Universe the Thana they deserve. I'm so excited to be here. I'm going to work 10 times harder because I think what it means to be a part of the MCU, what it means to be an Eternal, to be a part of this family, I know what we all need to do. We have all read the script. We all know what the task ahead is, and we know what you deserve. So we're all going to work very, very hard. Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not love that? I mean,
like,
it's such a different tone than obviously, I mean, Blunt's saying no and she's saying I'm doing it, but even differently than a lot of tones that like even other actors have had.
Exactly.
Not even necessarily with Marvel, but other projects and stuff like that. It's a cool thing, and I think it matters. I don't think you necessarily need to be like a hardcore fan of a thing, but I think that when you come into it, though, you should respect it, and especially when it comes to Marvel, you should understand how rabid these fans are, and I do think you need to bring your best, your A game with that. You know what I mean? And so it's really encouraging to hear her say that. And it's I mean, frankly, I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped that she said that. I'm pumped to see her in the flick. I think it's going to be dope. So,
well, exactly to your point, right? Like, they don't need to be a super fan. I'm not expecting every actor out here to be a Marvel comic book superhero super fan, but it also doesn't take a lot. I mean, or maybe it doesn't. It's not that it doesn't take a lot. It just takes the right person to really take a project seriously and just immerse themselves in the project, right? Like, you can tell, like, she was just like, okay, I'm going to be Thana. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Starts reading the comic books, starts seeing like the, story implications, narrative implications, starts understanding the character herself, and then having the foresight to be like, but it's not just this one character, right? I'm going into a universe built on a huge storyline, and feeling the weight and the cultural impact of that, and not just taking it as face value as a project that is just would die to have Angelina Jolie in it, because to have Angelina Jolie in it just elevates it to like a whole other level. Yeah. But then taking that opportunity and giving it her all, like her absolute all, and being passionate about it, like genuinely passionate about it. It's an absolute delight. And it makes me very excited for the project, because like we are talking about just like even the Maleficent movies, right? Like, yes. I mean, maybe I'm Alone at the
You're
Guys.
definitely
Like,
biased, but it's
it
all
was
good.
it was not like it was not good. Those were not good movies. Like,
Yeah.
sorry. Like they were very, very average, but she was fantastic in them. And I'm really into Disney villains, and Maleficent is one of my favorites. And then when I saw Angelina Jolie was going to be Maleficent, I was like, oh, like I was so excited. And then I saw the movie and I was like, that movie kind of sucked. But she was great in it. And I really think she carried that movie just by going above and beyond and taking it super seriously and giving a truly, truly wonderful performance, and just being like, she was involved in like the aesthetics of Maleficent, like getting the facial implants and like the BDSM headdress. Like she gives it her all, man. It's something to be excited about.
Yeah, it's so cool that they had a cast of just some real fire actors, you know what I mean, in this Eternals movie. I think Eternals is a sleeper hit, and it's going to be pretty freaking incredible. I mean, I was already hearing stuff before Chloe won her Oscars, like even before that, people were just saying like it's absolutely ridiculous. She shot it at Magic Hour a lot. There's apparently a big action sequence that they shot in a real volcano, and if you look at that volcano, like it's a massive volcano. Like like, and it just is, it seems like ridiculous, dude. Like, so I think this movie's going to be really, really cool. Some of the rumors out there of things that might happen and are like mind blowing. So, and apparently they're already working on a sequel. That's the word, is that they're already working on a sequel to the film. So they must be pretty impressed with it if that's what's going on. So hopefully we get more Angelina.
The people that are involved are amazing. A not amazing product can kind of be forgiven, or not forgiven, or hold on, inside burp.
Inside burps. Ooh.
There we go. Can be tolerable. You know what I mean? Like, we've all watched a bad movie with a great actor or like a great director, and it's like, man, this movie really would have been shit if this person really didn't go above and beyond and do all they could do. It still wasn't a good movie, but at least these elements involved in it made it okay, or like average.
Yeah.
So like, regardless of what happened, based on like what's her name, Zhao, Chloe Zhao.
Yeah.
Chloe Zhao, and what I've heard from Angelina Jolie, and even like Kumail Nanjiani talking about the role. Like, I just feel like regardless of what happens, you have a lot of people who are really putting a lot into this movie. So I'm amped.
Agreed. I'm pretty freaking pumped. I'm pretty freaking pumped.
No, I'm pretty freaking pumped. I'm more pumped.
You're probably a little bit more pumped, but I don't know. I'm pretty hyped for it. I'm pretty excited to just get back. Pump war. Yeah.
I'm like, that's support.
We're gonna get banned. Yeah, I don't know. Is there any other crazy stuff that you wanted to touch on before we get into Q&A? I mean, I think that those are the two main things that I kind of wanted to talk about. Yeah, I mean, just I guess when it comes to Emily Blunt, we're both kind of on the same page. We're both kind of glad that it's like, I mean, I personally think it's over. I don't know if it'll die.
Yeah.
Frankly, the fan casting and like fan attachment to that is pretty crazy. And I also wonder too, what is John like? Is John like? Is he going to come out and say anything? Like,
I mean, he could still be Mr. Fantastic. They don't have to do everything together. Like, damn, like just because they're married and they make movies together, if he still wants to be Mr. Fantastic, they can.
You think so?
You, man.
I don't think.
Reed Richards.
I don't.
You don't think he'll do it without his wife? You think it's like?
No, it's not like that. I think the fact is that like her statements on it felt pretty much to me like, and I went back and watched read a little article in like 2018 where she was talking about A Quiet Place, and I frankly think that she is probably not super keen on either one of them signing a big contract with Disney.
Oh, that would kind of like lock them into like a creative schedule that they couldn't really do their own stuff for.
Yeah, and there's another sort of side to this whole thing where like things are weird right now with actors and stuff. Like, would you want to sign anything long term? I mean, on the one hand, maybe it just won't work and you want to get back into it. On the other hand, you're like, dude, the times they are changing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I want to lock into that. Maybe I could do better on indie stuff. Maybe I could do better on television. Maybe I could do better. Whatever. I don't really know.
Irregardless, if based on those comments, I don't want her to be Sue Storm. I think Emily Blunt is a fantastic actress. I really, really enjoy her work. Fucking Edge of Tomorrow. I really like. That's one of those movies that I like make awesome, people watch, and I think it's super awesome. Shall I bring up Emily Blunt's arms and Edge of Tomorrow for the 700th time? I bring it up all the time, but I do think she is also someone who really commits to a role, and she gives great performances. So from that standpoint, I think she would make a great Sue Storm. But if that's her view on it, it's all good, baby.
Yeah.
Go do something else. Like, it's not for
100%. Do your
you.
thing.
It's not
Do
for
your
you,
thing.
honey. There's a million other people who'd make a great Sue Storm. So
Yeah, indeed. Just Fernie over here is holding out hope for John. He says he has shown interest multiple times in the MCU. He's definitely shown more interest than his wife, but even then, he sort of said something about it too similar to the fact that he doesn't know if it's for him, and he never would have made A Quiet Place. He probably wouldn't have had some of the opportunities that he had he signed, because he was supposed to get the Cap role. They were both first, but here's the thing. So people say, like, I saw people in the chat being like, well, what if why she signed up for Black Widow? Dude, she said in interviews she just wanted to work with Robert Downey Jr., and at the time, the MCU was not what it is. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't start signing like mega contracts with people until it basically got bought by Disney. You know what I mean? Technically, that was not even a Disney film that she was going to do.
Yeah. And they're obviously both, like, not just actors. They direct, right? Whatever, produce, all that jazz. And the Marvel contracts, it's a big to-do. So if that's not what they want for their life for the next, like, 10 years, that's fair, bro. That's fair. I'm glad you set it up front and didn't just, like, be Sue Storm for one movie and then, like, phone it in Jennifer Lawrence style for the rest of the movies. So,
which is funny because she might actually be the Sue Storm.
I know. I don't want it though, because it's just like I get the exciting allure of being a superhero, but it's like, if you don't, you gotta know what you're signing up for, dude. Like, come on, the cons, the schedule, the merchandising, like, it's all part of it. Like, there's no way you're just doing the part that you like.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why even Chris, like, he talks about, he's had some really interesting interviews where he talks about how he almost turned it down, Captain America, because he just realized what it was going to be. And, you know, there's a lot of weight on you, a lot of pressure. And then even re-signing again, you know, was like a really crazy moment for him. So, yeah, it's a big old
But also
thing.
Look at him now. He was like all about, like, you know, finally having his freedom to go be someone else other than Captain America. And now he's just like,
yeah, right. He's
slowly
like
shimmying his way back. Like, you guys need me to, like, voice something or, like, do a cameo? Sure. Anybody? So I do think it's a great opportunity if they down, but
yeah, if they down, they down.
I want her to be extra super down. Like, I want those Angelina Jolie quotes from, like, every person who's in this project, because, like, what a dream. What a dream to be a part of this. And if you don't view it as that way.
Agreed. Let's talk about one more thing before we get into the Q&As. And I just want to talk a little bit about Loki and your expectations for Loki and the fact that they're doing these watch parties. I know you had a vibe on that.
Those Disney watch parties are hella suspicious to me, bro. I don't know about that. Like, when I saw that they're going to be doing watch parties, it just felt like very, like, Jimmy Fallon doing TikTok dances, like them trying to be like, what are you youths doing out here on the internet? Can we get a piece of that slice? You're just like,
hello, kids.
All right, guys. Like, I like the idea, of course, but I just, based on what I've seen from Disney's public-facing media presence, I don't really think they're going to give the authenticity and transparency that makes those things successful. And it's also funny to me because I feel like this is just like a looming omen. Like, right when corporations start getting involved in stuff like this, that's when, like, a new social media platform is invented. Like, people are like, you ruined it, goodbye, and they start doing something else. And, like,
agreed,
they're going to make their corporate version of it, and fuck it, maybe they'll surprise us. That would be the surprise of the century. But I truly believe that, like, authenticity is going to be the, like, economic, how do I even word this?
It's the juice.
To have success, to have financial and economic and business success in the future, I think authenticity is the name of the game. And you can see that in the way, like, social media stars and all those people, like, build themselves up from nothing and then sell a product, and then it's super successful because when you can tell someone is super passionate about a product and they believe in it and they're talking about it all the time, like, it just catapults in a way. And then brand loyalty is something that I think a lot of people don't really think about, but is something that definitely happens that we are maybe not fully aware of as we're doing. Like there are brands that we all have that we are loyal to for whatever reason, just because of what they've given us, because what we like that the company's about and experience we've had with that customer or
100%.
their customer service or something.
IP or,
exactly. And we're like just going like a weird YouTube direction, but like I think one of the best examples of this was like a few years ago when Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson did that like were you aware
I'm
of that?
somewhat familiar. It was like a collaboration or something.
Yeah, when they did that whole behind the makeup industry expose and they like showed you how they built a makeup palette from beginning to finish, the amount of brand loyalty and excitement that was generated from that for the palette that they made was like hitherto unknown. And so I think that is the name of the game going forward. And I lulls if Disney's going to try to get a piece of that and just be like their super like pinned up, buttoned up House and Mouse version of it. They're like, here's our watch party with our super paid influencers that have to read a script and talk about the exact points that they wanted to, where they would actually probably gain a lot more traction if they had like, oh my God, the fucking Andy Serkis Venom trailer breakdown.
Yeah,
Genius.
I thought it was cool.
Genius.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Like that is the thing that they should be paying attention to, that because you got the person who had a creative like attachment and involvement in the project talking about it, and guess what, that's genuine because he made the goddamn thing. So when he's talking about all the things that he did, you're like, oh yeah. And like that Variety video with Ryan Coogler, you're like watching it, you're like watching someone be really passionate about what they're talking about. If you just get these like paid influencers talking about some shit, like nobody gonna give a fuck.
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing that's kind of interesting about what I think of interesting in the influencer space is that it's at the same time probably some of the best conversion that you can get, but also there's a lot of money that's wasted in influencer marketing because like there are a lot of influencers that will accept a thing knowing damn well that like their audience isn't fully into it or like gonna go hard on it or whatever. Like if you look at Raid Shadow Legends things, for instance, like a lot of creators like will take the money, put it out there, and then actually like make fun of even doing it with their own audience and shit. And it's like this big kind of joke, or like even at some point, like when I hear like a Raycon ad or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like it is what it is.
Yeah.
I feel like even in the communities are like, oh, get yours, get that Raycon money. Maybe a few of them check it out, but it's like not that. It's not the same as when they create a product, or you can tell they're really into something, and that is, I think, the beautiful thing, the magic that can happen between like a really great product that really matches and aligns with an influencer or with somebody that has like a loyal audience. But there's a lot of wasted money in that shit too. So for sure. It's a weird thing. I can see how companies would be like, this is so frustrating. Like, why aren't we tapping into it? And in some ways, it's because the influencers either don't fully understand like what it is, or they do understand it and they don't really give a fuck. They're just going to take that money. You know what I mean? It's a weird time.
One of my favorite YouTubers, Comic Book Girl 19, or she's Danica 19 now, she actually did some shit for Marvel for a little bit. And I mean, she's never like, I can't recall if she's ever like spoken about it in detail, but I think that was also one of those things where they like found a comic book person online that knows what they're talking about, and they wanted to have them kind of do like a Marvel Comics review kind of show, and it just like didn't go off because they were trying way too hard to like control her and what she was trying to say about certain comics. And she's like, dude, you brought me on for like the reason of like giving my take and this and my personality on the stuff that you create. That's what people tune in for, not like your scripted version of like say this or else. And it's like, that's kind of what I feel like the watch parties will be. And like you said in one of your streams, how you're talking about like trying to control the narrative by like having the first thing that's searchable and that's being recorded for that coming out. I think that's also a little shady because I think maybe for smaller creators who don't have a community, who just want to talk about it, they're going to get pushed down by this like Disney algorithm. So hella suspicious, bro.
Hella suspicious. I agree. It's a
sus.
It's a super sus, super weird time with everything, man. And
I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
going to go
no.
into it like this, but maybe I'll be just pleasantly surprised. But I'm going in with my arms crossed, like,
I'm
yeah,
with
no,
you. I'm with
I
you.
don't
It
know
seems
about
pretty
this.
weird. But Loki is going to be great, I think, and Loki
Yeah,
is going to be killer, and it's pretty
I'm still hyped for
exciting.
it. I'm
Yeah,
still
me too.
super
Me
hyped.
too. I'm super hyped. All right, let's get into some Q and A, ladies and gentle beings. So we will
Hey.
go for I don't know, a half hour, 40 more minutes or something. Just see what's
Mhm.
going on with all the peoples out there. So we have this one coming in from Daniel for this week and last week. Love both your takes on all the MCU news today. Definitely helping to keep an open mind on the shows and movies, as well as the controversies. Burp count for the win. Take my money.
I know I've only done one burp today. I guess I got to drink more of LaCroix and really get those bubbles
Get
bubbling.
those bubbles going, and
Yeah, right.
yeah, I appreciate the kind words there, Daniel. And I will
Thank you,
say,
Daniel Fisher.
we're trying. Hey, man, for me, I'm trying because I'm trying to give a fair shake to these companies and everything too. It's just the truth is, it for me, it does feel like we're in just a weird place with everything. I don't have a lot of clarity, and there's not a lot of just content out there to sort of take
Yeah.
our minds off of some of this stuff. I personally struggle with how how much time on this platform do I want to dedicate to like, oh, I don't know about this,
Yeah.
but there's also a side of me that's like, man, especially some of the stuff that's going on, with China and maybe them not accepting some of these movies, and then Disney like screwing over writers. It's like
That.
this kind of stuff I feel like at least needs mentioned, and it needs at least addressed. And I'm not trying to be a dick, and I'm not trying to
Yeah.
like, I want to give a fair shake here, but at the same time, maybe Marvel, maybe Disney needs to hear more fans be like, yo, not about it. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, I totally agree. What do they expect when there's been zero content and they haven't really been getting in the front of any of this stuff? Like, they're just not really talking about anything
very true.
and dropping no content. So it's just kind of like, ugh.
Bad combo.
All we can do is just like, run around in little nerdy circles trying to figure out what the hell's going on until they give us some crumbs to feed
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Although, is it bad that I was like kind of excited when they said that the Chinese market was rejecting those movies?
Why were you pumped or whatever?
Because then maybe we'll get just like a normal movie that's not
Yeah.
like bending over backwards and trying its damnedest to like make itself like internationally appealing.
Yeah, I agree, but I almost feel like it's too late in some ways. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess to me, it seems
Mm-hmm.
like the movie could be a sort of hodgepodge already of like trying to do that. Where what I'm kind of thinking is
That would make me so
maybe,
sad.
yeah, it would suck. But I still think it's gonna be dope. But like, frankly, it is probably still a little bit too catery. And if anything, what I'm hoping is on the other end of this. Like, first of all, I hope they don't touch Chloe's movie at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe if some bad or weird stuff has to happen to Shang-Chi for them to be like, all right, we can't do this anymore. We're not going to spend the money to try to get in there. We're not going to try to do all this because it's not working. And honestly, our fans are getting irritated. It looks bad. Fuck it. We're done with China. If that's what has to happen, because this would be two now with Mulan and now, maybe Shang-Chi, two movies that were more or less made. I'm not saying they were even made authentically or well, but they were, at least the intention was there. This corporation's intention was to service that side of the world and particularly this market. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm hoping.
I hate it. Like, I do hate it. Like,
Yeah.
the whole trying to service the international market, because like what it is trying, it's not even like they're trying to make international people happy. What they're trying to do is make the most money. So what ends up happening is just like you get the Emoji Movie, right? Like you get some like weird, like just totally cookie cutter, like hits the notes that make the right money instead of just like making some like actually really trying to make something, because these international markets are where they make so much money. And so I get it from a business perspective, gotta make these people happy, but at the same time, at what cost?
Yeah.
At
Agreed.
what cost? And also,
what cost?
like, I do, while it is a movie about Chinese culture, but like maybe this is obtuse and maybe I'm speaking out of turn. in this situation, but like I would think that it would be about like Chinese American culture, so it wouldn't
Sure.
be that crazy that it would become from a Chinese American perspective that might not align exactly with China,
Yeah,
because it is different. Like
I agree.
to say like Chinese people and Chinese American people are exactly the same is kind of like
No, and
foolish to
certainly, and
me.
Simu Liu has sort of even said as much on Twitter and sort of indicated on his social media a strong desire for the representation of, Asian Americans and Asian North Americans
Yeah.
and just Asian people outside of, the Chinese philosophies and the Chinese fundamental views. And it would be awesome to see the company and the leadership sort of stand with him and stand
Yeah.
with Aquafina and stand with Chloe Zhao and sort of do that. I understand there's big business implications, but yeah, I hate it too. I'm just trying to be fair with it, but if this is, hopefully this goes one or the other way. What I would hate is if we getting another just two versions of this movie. They totally cut it up and hack it apart for China and just try to play nice over with them. That would
Yeah.
suck. I don't want that to be what's happening. I'd rather them just either end it, or stop trying to make movies specifically to please them. It seems like they like a lot of the other movies. They're letting 8 out of 10 of the next films in. It's just the two
Yeah.
movies that they're like, they have problems with or whatever. So I don't know.
Which I get, it could be dicey because it's speaking specifically to the Chinese experience, so they would probably be a little more upset about how that was represented in an American movie,
Sure.
and they could view it as propaganda or whatever. But yeah, no, I still kind of believe I'm still in the realm of like what I said, where I think the Chinese American experience is different from the Chinese experience. So to say that making an authentically Chinese American movie doesn't represent Chinese culture is kind of a weird statement.
100%. I mean, how is
Like,
everybody that's involved in that supposed to feel? You know what I mean? Like, how's
yeah,
Dennis
like,
supposed to feel? Like, it just, I don't know. I don't even know if they have the license to say that.
Yeah.
I did want to shout out Mr. Anderson for his big $50 super chat.
Hey, my simperer.
He says, just simping with the homies. I can't find it on here because I can't, like, friggin' put it up here or whatever. But we have this one in here. Yeah, I just can't like pin it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. Cashton says for the $5 holler, shout out to Tim for giving me 30,000 nerd coin. Same to everyone else who gave me nerd coin. I can't remember everyone. I love y'all, dude. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that we got the give function in there because it's
That's
pretty cool.
the community love I love to see.
Yeah, man, definitely. Elisa Scott says, loving Darren's take tonight. Gotta show my support. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, thank you for the
Yes,
love from my girl
indeed.
Elisa.
Yeah.
Also, that I love that she's always coming through with like super chats in every stream.
I know, right?
That's
She's
some
always
some real commitment.
some real commitment, some real love for sure. I want to try to pull some of these. For some reason, this chat's being all weird tonight. I can't find everybody's stuff in here. Let's see here. Let's see here. I feel like not authentic because China propaganda. So the article itself, some people had indicated to me, and it wasn't exactly my interpretation immediately, but that even the article itself could have been a controlled narrative from China or the CCP to sort of denigrate Disney. And at first, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought that was crazy. And when I went back in and read the article, I was like, whoa, there could be some of that in there. And on top of that, Variety went ham on Disney today. They did 2 more articles that were negative against Disney within like a couple of hours. And I was like, man, that is like pretty freaking wild. I don't know if that could actually,
Wait, you
be
thought
a
it was
thing there.
crazy? Wait, what? I'm a little confused. You thought it was crazy that there would be China involvement, or that they would?
I thought when I originally read, my take on the Variety article was originally that it seemed like Variety maybe was trying to cushion people or cover for Disney in a sense by saying like, here's this kind of whack thing that might happen and it would be unfortunate, but we're kind of trying to set fans up for maybe this expectation. But a lot of people said to me, they were like, no, if you really look at that article, it's trying to make Disney look real bad. And I was like, what? And the more I looked at it, the more I could kind of see it. Then Variety did 2 more articles, like almost sequentially, that were like really negative. So there was the article about the writers and not having the lead writers anymore, or the showrunners. I'll have to go back in there. Maybe they were right about the showrunner thing. But then they ran the article about leadership and how it had all this weirdness and like bruised egos and just kind of interesting stuff like that. So yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it is that they don't use showrunners. Yeah, I got that one wrong. So
trusting the stuff that comes out from the Chinese media, I also don't really think is super indicative of what is going on in China, unfortunately. Like, because
well, this is an American company. Variety is a Hollywood trade. You know what I mean? It would be pretty bizarre if that was indeed
but what are they basing? So are they basing off of like the reaction from China, from the Chinese media? Is like what I'm curious about.
Yep, that's
because
fair.
It's like that is a very manicured, censored.
Yeah, that's 100% true. It just seems in general weird that the American Hollywood trades would come out and even talk about that. You know what I mean?
Maybe they got their money in some, Chinese stuff as well.
That's what people were sort of indicating. I don't know. It's a pretty wild situation. I don't know. I think there's way more to it than maybe what meets the eye.
I think it's like way more complex than we could ever possibly imagine. Like, I don't want to like call anyone out specifically or get them in trouble. Let's just say I know someone who works for a company who also has a branch in China. I'll be vague as possible. And the Chinese employees use their work server to access internet because they don't have access to like the world's internet. So like they don't get to know. So yeah,
it's a really sticky situation, man. I would love to just be on the right side of it, and I would love for them to figure that out. But regardless, Colt says here, since Disney loves attaching trailers to their movies, which trailers do you see being attached to Black Widow? That's fair. I don't know. I actually didn't necessarily even think about that. I guess they would do another Shang-Chi.
Wait,
maybe
what?
Trailers for Black Widow.
Which trailers do you see being attached to Black Widow?
Yeah. So
when they released them in the theater.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, I could not compute.
yeah. It's the fact that like literally we're so starved for content and we so aren't that interested in Black Widow that Colt is anticipating the trailers that may well be dropping with Black Widow essentially more than maybe the film. Maybe I'm reading too far into it, but
what's coming up next? Shang-Chi? I don't know the correct pronunciation.
I feel like it's probably Shang-Chi, but I also feel like such a twat when I pronounce it that way because I feel like I'm just trying to be that guy. But it's
Can someone tell me what the real pronunciations so I stop looking like an asshole? So that one and Eternals are the ones that are coming out next, right?
Yeah. I would say, and then Spider-Man 3 does come out a little bit after that. But
that would be the real tea if they finally dropped that Spider-Man trailer after all the drama and the weird shit that's been going on about it. If they like saved that for like the Black Widow experience, like Ghost finally get your little tingly Spider-Man senses alleviated, then that would be
that would be great. And you know what they should
show.
really do is be like, it's only going to be in the theaters and you got to go out to see it because literally,
dude, I know. Oh my God. Okay, Disney, if you're listening, if you want to make that money, you better tell people, you better put that Spider-Man trailer in the Black Widow trailer and then not drop it online. Yeah. And then flag every video that comes up on YouTube with that.
100%.
And then just come for people. Oh my God. Yeah, that's how you get people to the theaters, right?
It would certainly.
Everyone's like, we finally saw Andrew Garfield and Toby in the trailer.
It would certainly.
Or maybe it's just one scene, and it's like even more annoying.
Disney doesn't care how you pronounce it; just pay them. Says Felicity. It's pretty funny.
That's fair. Actually, I don't know about that. They're pretty woke these days. So.
Hey, have you watched the Clone Wars?
Oh, I did watch the final season of the Clone Wars in preparation for Bad Batch. And y'all said, Darren, just watch the last 4 episodes. It's like, no, I'm going to watch them all. I'm going to really give this experience that deserve. Why did I do that? The first episodes are so
you shouldn't have done that, dude.
I was just like watching it, and then I was like, okay, so what this means is I'm going to watch this while I work. Because lulz, and then the last 4 episodes be still my little Star Wars heart.
Yes, those last 4 episodes are
my good goddamn. Like that Darth Maul Ahsoka lightsaber fight might be up there. Like truly epic. Truly epic. I was
There was some very fucking cool they actually shot that with real people. You know what I mean?
Dude, oh my god, yes. That's what got me so amped about it when what's the guy who did Darth Maul? That they saw that they like brought him back to do like the actual movements, and then I was just like, oh my god, you are the absolute ghost. Like goat. I meant to say goat, not the ghost.
No, the ghost goat. Everybody knows what you meant. It's the way they moved, and it was just fan freaking tastic.
Because it's hard to make it's hard to make an animated lightsaber fight cool. Like it really is.
Well, it's hard to make it as cool as the films. Like that's the thing. I think you'd 100%. Still make it cool, and they're still like, oh, it's a lightsaber. But we always have the film stuff in the back of our mind. We're judging things, you know.
But like I felt those like real, and then I like got in like a black hole afterwards. It was like, oh, this sick. And then like I like saw that they actually, and I was like, I knew it. Like I knew it. Like it was just too detailed, too fun. Like, I mean, I love Ahsoka. I'm a little weirded out by what they did with her in those other episodes because she's like my favorite character. Like I truly felt like employing her as like kind of like the emotional crux between those last 4 episodes was masterful. Dave Filoni knows what he's doing. I mean we know this. We know this.
Yeah, we know this. We know this.
We all know this. Dave Filoni is it. He's that bitch. He will save Star Wars. Dave Filoni, please save us all.
Bad Batch. Save it.
Bad Batch is good.
Yeah. What do you think about the canon changes? Have you heard me gripe about this, and do you think I'm overreacting?
You know what? I can't speak much to it because I haven't read the comic that you held up so dearly, and we're just like, yeah. So I can't fight with you about it. But
yeah, I don't know. I was probably being a butthole, but it is what it is. I found guys. I am going to go over all these supers that I missed. I knew StreamYard was being whacked, so I apologize. I'm going to start going through them now. Kevin says with the $10 holla, good job on fixing that sound. Glad to see you on stream instead of just chat. Yeah, absolutely. 100% appreciate that, Kevin. Hang on, I got a thingy.
Yeah. No, I like Bad Batch. I do feel like we're still in the exposition phase, though, and I'm not really mad about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. The first episode was so strong, and that second one like dips into
it's like exposition phase.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't so monster of the week that I felt like it was like a throwaway episode. I feel like it's laying some things. I don't know. Like I feel like I can tell when an episode is doing an Ahsoka run and the like final season, and then you're just like, this is useless. This is like fucking useless. Like it's absolutely useless. But like that, it didn't feel useless, but it did feel like a little dip and like just kind of we're in the exposition phase. So don't really know yet, but I'm having fun so far.
Yeah, I'm having fun. What do you think of Omega, man? Do you have any vibes on her? Any personal theories or anything like that?
I don't know. Again, I feel like because we're in the exposition phase, I don't really like feel super strongly about her yet.
Yeah,
because
they haven't really teased much.
It's just nuggets right now. It's just like, ooh, she's like force sensitive. Oh, watch out! She's gonna be cool. She's gonna be father-daughter relationship. We're gonna do some weird like kind of like fun stuff with that. So, I hope. My dream for this show is that it fixes the sequel trilogy somehow. I saw Lavis and Al talking about this on After Dark, and I was just like fucking fist pumping along because I was just like, because honestly, it's not crazy because the Clone Wars fixed the prequel trilogies.
Right,
it did.
Exactly.
Like it actually fully fixed it. And like it's so funny because my brother was always like very pro prequel trilogy. And I was like, kind of understood. But then, like, I watched the Clone Wars, and I was like, just kidding. I love them now. I'm all about it. And if somehow, some way, Bad Batch can do that, sign me up.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm here for it. And
I'm pumped. I think it's good. And the funny thing is, it's hitting me in a really good place because I don't have super high expectations for it. It's kind of nice. Like I'm kind of just enjoying the ride. Like episode 2 was like, I think normally if I was if I had had the level of anticipation I had for like Falcon Winter Soldier, I would have been
Mm,
disappointed. But I just wasn't. I was like, man, this is fun. Like, holy shit, like, cut. That's awesome. You know? Oh, Rex came through here the day before. What? Like, and just learning all the stuff about Order 66 and all that is pretty, it's pretty fun.
why do you
So
think that is? Why do you think you have like easier expectations for this than you do for like Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I think because it's so clearly a spin-off that, you know, like the Bad
Mm,
Batch themselves are more or less characters that were seemingly abandoned before that Dave brings back, and then they're just a really fun spin-off. And even Omega, totally new character, no real attachment to anything, no real stakes for that. You know, it seems like I can just kind of let go of some of the things. I know I'm not going to see these characters in, you know, future things, at least nothing
right.
that timeline that adds up. So it seems pretty safe. Yeah, I
It's like an
think,
in-between story.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just not like it would be totally different if it were Rex, if it were Ahsoka, if it were Boba, if it were some main character that I knew
Right.
showed up at a certain place in canon later, and I'm like, oh, now I'm all there. No, like the Bad Batch to me, like it's just a fun ride. I'm cool with their interactions, but I'm not super attached to their interactions. You know what I mean?
Right. No, that's a pretty good assessment of it because it kind of is an in-between, inconsequential story for the most
Right.
part that all you do is get to just strap in, forget, and have a good
It's
time.
honest, nice. Honestly, it's kind of like ideal Star Wars kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I really do think that it could be. It would be nice to have them hitting on all cylinders, but it would also be nice for them to just create some fun content that isn't attached to anything, and perhaps like push forward a new direction. And actually, yeah, Keeman was asking about that. And then Aiden says here, Josh, would you rather Secret Invasion be a big movie event like Avengers, or do you like it as a show? P.S. I crushed those finals. Nice, Aiden. I'm glad you crushed the finals. I'll say for me, we know Secret Invasion is going to at least start as a Disney Plus thing, but the potential for it to be a Disney Plus thing that then goes into the Marvels, because I don't think the Marvels has a subtitle, does it? When it was just announced,
No, it just said the Marvels.
right? So it could be the Marvels
I
something invasion or Squirrel Queen or some shit, you know?
I think there's a lot they could do with it as a show. I would love for it to be a movie event. It's got enough, dude. Like it's got enough stuff in it to make it like a full multi-movie event. So I
Yeah,
would really
that's
like to
fair.
see it get that treatment. Um, because I mean, or maybe it's going to change. I don't know. But right now, just based on my experience with the Marvel shows they put out, they seem like they're not putting as much into these. So
They're
if
not as
that's like,
consequential.
yeah. So I mean, maybe this will change when we see Loki. We don't know yet.
Hmm.
But if this is kind of how they're treating Marvel shows, I would like to see that get the like multi-movie treatment for sure.
Yeah. I agree. Sozu, it looks like we already kind of covered this. Darren did go over her opinion of Bad Batch, so we already kind of went over that, but appreciate the
Yeah, I just wanted
support.
to bring more meat and potatoes, bro. I think that's also the luxury of Star Wars, right? They can just tell all these stories that, and I think Dave Filoni is especially well suited for this. But if this can just give a little more meat and potatoes to stories that are a little
Hmm.
thin, like I even think The Mandalorian is a little thin. If it can give a little more meat and potatoes to that, and
Agreed.
I think it will really, really serve its purpose and make everything an ultimately more enjoyable experience.
Hundo Percento. I totes agree with that. Let's see here. Fanjecture wanted to know your thoughts on the Invincible finale. I guess we didn't get to talk about that, huh? Invincible finale? I thought.
Can I pass out in this chair right now? Well, because we were probably supposed to talk about it last week, and then we didn't stream last week.
uh,
Holy, sorry to curse, motherfucking shitballs! Like that was
yeah.
the great that show. You know what I love about that show? It's telling every other show out there to step the fuck up, step it up. Like that show just raised the bar for everybody because
Yes.
we're talking about like, dude, even like I'm sorry to bring up the Marvel shows again, but like while they were enjoyable experiences, they really didn't do as much as they could with the characters within that show that they could have. And like we talked about this when we were talking about Invincible all the way up. It's like they had even with their like monster of the week episodes, they still found a way to like like always tie in character elements and like
yeah.
build. So it was just like it's such a satisfying experience.
I agree.
And so like
that ending, dude. That ending was wild. Like, I love that finale, and I'm so hyped for what I think they could do moving forward. And again, I hope it sets a precedent. I hope that more adult animated American shows, comic book shows are done in that vein, because even Jupiter's Legacy, which I don't know, have you had a chance to check out that on Netflix at all?
I started watching it and I like could not finish it.
Yeah. So okay, but here's the thing: like, that action is bad, right? So I like the show, but I thought the action was weak, and it's burp count for me. It's especially weak when you juxtapose it against Invisible. Like, the fluidity of that fighting and just how that looks and feels, like, that is on a totally different level than what we get in Jupiter's Legacy. I wonder how good Jupiter's Legacy could have been with even that same cast just doing voice work and doing it in animated. I almost feel like I would have enjoyed it more, especially if the action would have been crazier.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree, only because like one of my initial gripes with this show was I felt like it was a very weak start to a superhero show. I'm like, bro, we're pretty saturated. Like, it's a totally oversaturated market. You got to come hard with the superhero start. And that was one of the things that really got me immediately with Invincible. We're like, what are these dudes talking about at this museum? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, everything was just so fast, quick, done, and like not even spending all like it just moved so quickly, so efficiently, hit the marks that it needed to do, moved on, hit it, moved on, hit it, moved on. Because the first episode was very fast, like extremely fast, but appropriately fast. Because like you left the first episode being like,
yeah, holy shit,
what is happening? Like in this show, I have and that should be the first episode. You have no idea what the fuck is going on, but you would love to know. And I'm not even talking about with animation, like I'm talking even with like character storytelling. Like, this show should tell everyone around that in their character storytelling they need to step it up.
I agree 100%.
Step it up, guys.
It was a big old success. And
I got that train scene. Like, I know it's probably been talked about a million times with Jesus.
Yeah,
Jesus
so
Christ.
good. I couldn't believe it. It was one of those moments where I was like, dude, there's no way they're actually going to do it. And then they did it, and I was like, yo, like, that's pretty freaking wild. That was pretty nutso.
And like I was so pleasantly surprised the way they handled an overpowered superhero, because that's a turnoff for me. I like personally, like when there's a super overpowered superhero, villain, whatever, I get kind of bored, and it's always like the same punches, the same like just the same story hits. And like even just like he was being the classic bad superhero, but just like even that small moment where he was just like, I would have you, Dad.
Dude,
we would have each other, and I was just like,
it hit,
bringing it back. That was excellent. That was perfectly timed. It was excellent. Like,
it certainly hit. It did.
Like,
yeah, indeed.
I love Invincible, guys.
I love it too. I actually been trying to get out to the comic shop and get the compendiums. I could, of course, get them offline, but I kind of want to, support the local John or whatever. But it keeps getting closed every time I go there. I'm like, shit, Amazon's never closed. Anyway.
They're so heavy. I was picking up Dan's the other day, and I was like, gee, like, ugh, like
that's
it.
dope, though. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to get totally into it. And also, like, I've watched some content where Kirkman was saying it's like it was done over 14 years, so there were moments where he was just not even that great as a writer. Some of it doesn't connect perfectly together. But as a fan of comics and a writer of comics myself, like, I want to check out all of that. I want to see, did you maybe lean in here and then walk away from it? Or was this thing picked up later? And just some of the fun they were talking about. Like, they were talking about the mustaches, and they were like, at first it was just the dad, right? And then because his dad had the mustache. Literally, it was just that Kirkman's dad had that mustache. And then he's like, what if all the Viltrumites had that mustache? And then they just do it. And they're like, let's go. I mean, that shit's just fun, man.
But I mean, that's comics though, right? And it's like, I do kind of miss that, right? Those comic runs that span years, years and years and years, and that are just like a labor of love, that aren't always perfect.
Yeah.
But they have a goal, right? And then and it's experience that like you get to be a part of. Like,
it's pretty juicy.
Actually, I guess Saga's doing that right now. I'm in it.
Saga is doing that, and there
I
are a
mean,
lot of indies that are carrying that legacy sort of on. But yeah, I mean, the days of that coming from the big two, and especially for you being a big X-Men person, that was a huge thing. Like, but there didn't used to be all these crazy events, guys. It just used to be like X-Men. You know what I mean? Like the current fucking whatever book. So
I love a good event.
that's
Love a
I
good
do
event.
I love a good event
Saga,
too.
come back. Brian
Saga?
K. Vaughan. It's been
Yeah, doesn't he
years.
take? Has it
It's
been
been years.
years?
Well, he in the last comic, he's literally was like, it's gonna be like over 2 years. So just
Wow.
sorry, but it's like you're not gonna get it for a while. And we're just like, oh, like because like something crazy happens at the end of the last Saga comic, then he's like, see you in over 2 years.
Well, he was
And
on a weird cycle with it too, right? Where he would take like 6 months off, do
yeah,
six
so he's
months.
like,
It is what it is. Hey, look,
sweet.
I'm as long as he's doing the work, and
Jonesing.
I'm sure he'll get it out faster than George R. R. Martin. You know,
Dude, he's gonna die, bro.
I
He's
know
gonna
it's
die.
a
He's
shame.
gonna fucking die. We'll
a
get
shame.
one more history book though before he dies. We won't get Wins a Winner, but we'll get like one more history
I know,
book.
right? Jeez, I just want him on his deathbed to be like, it was legitimately Dan and Dave that fucked it all up. You know,
Avenge me.
right?
It
Just
was
tear
their
them down.
fault.
Never support anything they do. Let's see here. Kevin says, thanks for reading my last super chat. It was actually from the earlier stream. Glad you still read it. Also want to see Jedi that turn to the dark side and become Inquisitors during the Bad Batch. That would be really sick, actually. I don't know how familiar you are with the Inquisitors. They were something from like Star Wars Rebels. They were basically like Vader's hit squad of like Sith that weren't really Sith, but they had lightsabers and they were dope. I would be down. I'd love to see that kind of stuff in animated. I think it would be sick.
I'm down for it. I didn't finish Rebels, unfortunately. It was,
Oh man, I know it's a big hang up for people.
very
I know,
kiddie.
I know, and it's hard for me to even hear that, but I've heard it enough where I'm like, it must be true because, like, for me, I love it so much that I'm like,
You're like,
nah,
it's
fuck
not
y'all.
true, but
Yeah,
like,
I'm like fuck y'all. No, I love it. I fucking love it. But yeah, you're probably right. I mean, everybody says it to my face. They're like, bro, it's just too kiddie.
There are those like YouTube videos, right, that like cut down the repeat sequences from animes. There's got to be one for Rebels where it's just like, just here are the moments.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely videos like that, and there are some great moments, man. There are some great moments. Let's see here. Jack says with the $10 holler, Josh, what if in Spider-Man No Way Home that Toby and Andrew came out as Ben, Riley, and Kane, and they are Spider-Man from the other universe wearing a comic-accurate suits? Holy shit, that would be nuts. I mean, there's no way they're going to do that, Jack. It's already going to be weird enough trying to explain to mainstream audiences that you have multiple Peter Parkers. There's
and
no
they're like, no,
way.
deeper than that. No, deeper.
They're actually all clones. Like, dude, no way, Jack. I mean, I appreciate it because I do love the Clone Saga, but there ain't no goddamn way doing some shit like that, bro. No way. Let's see here. Felicity says it's so interesting that many want to fix the sequel trilogy somehow, even though the prequel trilogy had issues. There was no outcry to fix it. That's interesting. Clone Wars did that organically. In my opinion, we need to let the sequel trilogy alone for now. Hey, that's a good point.
That's a pretty good point, Felicity.
Damn,
Felicity, give me some shit to think about. That's
Indeed.
true. Because it's like, maybe it was because the prequel trilogy just like led straight up into 4. And so we're just going to like, oh, well, what can you do?
Yeah.
Shrug. But the sequel trilogies are supposed to be the kicking off point.
Yeah.
And it wasn't it.
I'll tell you this. I'm sick of those comics trying to explain every fucking thing. Like, that has been weird to watch.
Well,
like the Snoke thing, the Hand of Luke. It's like, what?
Well, it's weird because like I saw that you said that like they're not even sticking to that lore.
Yeah,
so why even fucking?
Yeah, why do that? Doesn't make any sense.
They're like,
yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. This is. I only clicked on this because it was in all caps. Mike Smith says, Darren and Josh, I'm going to read it like he typed it. Darren and Josh, do you think we could see Maul in the Lando show after the tease in Solo? Maybe. Yeah, we could maybe see Maul. Be kind of fun. I don't know. What do you think? Darth Maul? Lando?
Maybe. I like to see Maul in the nitty gritty of it. Like, I want to see him where he's like fighting hoes and being a menace, right? So if like there's some shit of that in the Lando show, then I'm down. But I want to see him do flips. Maybe I'm a simple hoe. I just want to see him do that crazy shit.
You're right.
I don't want to just see him like pop up and say something menacing and leave. Like, I want to see him do some fun shit.
Ooh, here's an X-Men question for you. The Lambax says with a $5 hello, which 5 X-Men would you guys like to see as a team when they appear in the MCU? The team. What would be the team for you? I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but
Well, I think if
Because
we're just
it doesn't include Professor, right? So he's just going to be outside of it.
yeah, because like I'm thinking now in terms of like introductory, right? Like you're introducing the team into the MCU. So in that thread, I feel like you gotta have Jean and Scott because they're kind of the
Yep,
heart and soul of the or like the X-Men team. Jean is the
agreed.
heart, Scott is the force, like that leads it through. So I feel like Jean and Scott are kind of like the crux that makes the original X-Men team like what they are.
Agreed.
In addition to that, I mean,
It's
I
hard
want
to
to.
not to Storm. I mean, you kind of need Storm, I feel like. She doesn't necessarily have to be in the OG team, but
I think maybe I'm going to say Rogue only because of the Captain Marvel tie-in. I would just love them. I would love to see them incorporate that. No, I don't. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking of okay. What's best for the MCU? And that's the X-Men just getting into it and tying. So it's going to be probably Wolverine because he has
sure.
ties to Cap,
Yeah.
and probably some Black Widow shit, and just other like Weapon X
Yeah.
dippity glue glop. Maybe Rogue because
Yes.
she can tie into Captain Marvel and
Sure.
or I don't even know if that will even make sense anymore with what they're doing for Captain Marvel. But that is a thing. She
Yeah.
basically steals her powers, so that could be a fun way to close that chapter and open another one.
What
So
about
that's one
Kitty
too.
and her brother or whatever? You know what I mean? Wouldn't that kind of make a lot of sense? Like Colossus and Kitty?
Brother, they
Is
were
it?
dating.
I thought that. Oh wait, who? Damn, shows my normie X Men knowledge. Who was the,
Although, you know, it's a really funny aspect of that. So they were like when they were first introduced, right? Like Kitty was 15 and Colossus was 19. And they
yeah.
had this like weird, like, will they, won't they romance. And Marvel up top corporate leaders were like, stop making this 16-year-old girl and this like 19-year-old people like boy date because it's inappropriate. And they basically like sent her off to be a part of like the British English
Magic's his
Avengers.
sister. Now I feel
Yeah,
silly.
Magic is his sister. Yeah. Oh, wait, that would be a good one too, because then Magic would tie into Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange and all that shit.
That could be
Ooh,
cool.
yeah, I like it. But yeah,
That
they
could be.
basically sent Kitty away because her and Colossus kept having these romantic
And they
moments, and
aged her up.
they're like, please stop that. Stop making this 15-year-old girl
That's
have this
kind of
romance.
interesting. I didn't know
I
that. That's
know
kind of fun.
it's pretty lame. So I was like, wait, what happened to their romance? So she's gone now. They can't be together. So
They
she's
can't
not
be
even
together.
here. She's in England now.
B-Man, welcome to the Nerd Vengers. You are a Nerd Venger. Now, I did see that earlier, B-Man, but for some reason, it's all over the place for me on the chat, and I feel like StreamYard is being whacked. Let me try to give a 5 for my X-Men. I want to do. I'm going crazy with my X-Men. I'm not gonna do what's best for anybody but me.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna do like Hail Mary, William Chaos.
I'm doing.
Throw that chaos in there, bro.
I'm doing Domino, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Gambit, and then you need a moral anchor for the team. So Dupe. Yo, let's go. That would be fantastic. Tell me you wouldn't watch that movie. That shit would be
You really
great.
threw me for a loop there. I was like, okay,
Dude.
all right, Dupe. Okay, Dupe.
Yes.
I mean, Dupe does hang out with Deadpool, so if they want to like bring in Deadpool.
That'd be fun, man. Dupe's a wild ass character. Like,
One of my favorite Dupe panels of all time is like him getting information from people, and he just like fucks these, like he dresses up as a French maid and like fucks this old dude, and then he like goes and like as an order. This is like the weirdest panel ever, and he's just like fucking all these people for information. You're like, what is this panel?
they've done some really weird stuff with him. I think in the original Ecstatic comics, he was like a psychopath, and they were like at one point in the comics, they're all hiding from him. Like literally, the whole team is hiding from Dupe or some shit. It was pretty.
I mean, I will say your team is like ultimate chaos. Like it'll be some rip romping good times.
Hell,
you know, just there will be no cohesion, and they'll fight constantly, and nothing will ever happen. But it will just be straight.
It'll be damn entertaining, though. It'll be damn entertaining. Believe that.
I want Dupe.
I want Dupe. Yo, what did you hear about, or what did you think about the Black Widow Johns? The fact that we might get Ursa Major, big old bear person. Did you
dude? I was the one of the things that did make me laugh was like that we say Stormy, the guy who did the article from the Nerd Ventures.
Mm-hmm.
That dude, that Dutch guy is wilding out.
Yes, he is.
Talk about press training. He was just like,
right? He was like, they fucking love me. I'm gonna be coming.
they wanted me to be
Yeah,
in the movie, want me to be main character. And I said, yeah, I guess I'll stay, but whatever. It's gonna be a big deal. Don't you worry about it. I was like, this dude is wilding the fuck out here in this press.
For sure.
I'm excited. I think the Black Widow movie is going to be cool. I'm really stoked about it. Like, and the fact that they say it's been done, no changes for like over a year, like they must have a good product there if they haven't even like tried to amend it or change it for whatever has been happening with the pandy. They're like, no, fuck that shit. We're keeping this movie the way it is. Like,
I mean,
good
just a little more that they showed in some of the trailers did get me hyped. I was like, dang, dude, like that does look really cool. And maybe there's a bunch of mystery and cool stuff in there. Like the Ursa Major tease to me is very cool. Like that's cool. And if they really added more, I mean, come on, big old Russian bear person, let's go. Like that, you can't go wrong with that shit. You know what I mean? Ooh, Kitty and Star-Lord were a thing. I didn't know about that. That's kind of hot.
I didn't know that either.
It's kind of hot. I could see that. Oh, you know what? This is kind of an interesting one. Let me see. Where can I find? Oh man, I can't. This thing's being so whacked here. Let's see here. Fanjex says no morph. What the fuck? You betray your feelings. You know what, Adam? You have a point. I do like morph, so I'm gonna.
Can you give me your best Wolverine morph right now? You know how he screams morph?
More.
Higher. Has to be higher.
That's the best I got. Let's see here. Opinions on this
Beautiful.
is kind of funny.
You're welcome, guys.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, thanks for me. Opinions of Love and Death of Robots season 2. Did you watch?
Oh my god!
1?
Okay, so Dan is making me watch Love, Death, and Robots right now because I had never even heard of it.
Nice, yeah.
Well, what the fuck? The most delightful, wonderful thing that's ever existed, and truly jarring that some of that animation is animation. I was like, that's real. That's a real person. It's a real person making real faces. I am very confused.
Have you got to the one where they're it's about they wake up, they go to hyperspace and they wake up way yeah. Have you watched that one?
Yes.
That's my favorite one. Yeah, that shit's wild to me. Do you know that whole project started out as a sequel to Heavy Metal?
What's Heavy Metal?
Heavy Metal is like a wild ass American animated thing from the 80s that was like brutal as fuck. Like it just was.
And that was a brutal episode. Like
Jesus. Yeah, it was this wild like. So in the 80s Transformers movie, they like kill all the Transformers and it was like really crazy, and it was like a sort of homage to like Heavy Metal and like just the wild like you should check out Heavy Metal. It's a very crazy piece of art that was made at a time when like people weren't taking cartoons seriously at all, and then,
so they're just like doing whatever they wanted.
They were like, let's just go. And then this started out as a sequel to Heavy Metal. They couldn't get the rights to Heavy Metal, and then so they ended up breaking it down and hiring these different studios to tell this stuff.
I mean, that was an upsetting episode only because it was so wild, and that was the first episode I think because it's early on in the season.
Yeah,
where the animation is so insane. So detailed.
Well, and there's a sex scene in it, and I don't want to give too much away of it, but there's a sex scene. Oh, well, it's super hot, but it also makes you feel a little weird. And then later on, you feel even weirder about it when you know what's actually happening. You're like, I was like,
oh, it didn't make me feel weird when I was watching it.
Well, a little bit for me, I was like, this is a cartoon. Why is it
wait, you felt like it was, it made you feel weird because it was so real.
It was so good.
Dude, okay, wait, I was saying that too, where I was like, the future of VR is...
Yeah. It's gonna be wild.
It's gonna be wild. I was like, this is a real sex scene, and it's very hot.
I know, and like the animation. I see what you mean. Yeah, and then, but to me, like on top of that, the meta context of like when you really think about what's happening in that scene, you're like, oh, damn, you know what I mean?
Dude,
like,
even the way she like crawled out in the vision when he finally saw her for what she was, it was just like this like unfolding. I was just like,
yep, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So
also,
I'm excited.
Quick lulls to the Russian episode. What the most depressing fucking shit I've ever seen in my goddamn life. God, those Russians are such hard people. Like I was just like, it ended, and I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, dude. And it's perfect for Netflix too, because it's like totally just like wild shit that you probably wouldn't check out on TV. You know what I mean? Like they've really pushed the limit. I'm excited to see season 2.
Yeah.
You know what the fuck ever happened? Didn't they say what was the Black Mirror, right? Didn't the dude that was gonna do Black Mirror cancel the season because of the pandy? He said it was too close to home and they done some stuff in there that was too whack.
It's gonna ruin people's lives.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Black Mirror had that sort of thing in society where it was like that crazy thing that we all couldn't believe. We're like, oh my God, did you watch that shit? And I think maybe Love, Death, and Robots could sort of take over some of that. That'd be
well,
kind
it's
of
the perfect. It's just like the perfect little touch of it, right? Because it's so short and so succinct and just like tells exactly what it wants. I mean, like the perfect episode, like that Russian episode, right? Like the way Dan described it, he was like, that was a video game.
Yeah,
the whole video game and like one little short, like the whole crux, climax, ending, whatever.
For sure.
And I was just like, oh, I do. I'm very now. I am very excited, guys.
Heck yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. Thoughts on OG 2003 Clone Wars series? I like Tarkovsky's stuff. I gotta go back and like watch it straight through though, because I
haven't seen it in so long. I honestly kind of I feel like I haven't seen it in like 10 years. But I remember liking it at the time, and I remember when we talked about it last time. I said this guy.
Yes.
Water guy.
Yes.
What's his name again?
Oh, Kit Fisto. Yeah,
Kit Fisto. I liked him.
Yeah, he's
That's the only thing I can remember. Sorry, guys.
I just remember how badass. Like every shot was super badass. So even like them just coming out on the speeders and in formation, but they're holding the pikes, and it just looked like he just brought this edge to it all, man. You know what I mean? And there's like scenes with Mace Windu punching freaking droids with his bare hands, just busting into droids with his bare fist. It was pretty badass.
We'll never see that Dune movie either. He was the one who was supposed to do that Dune movie that never saw, right?
Really?
Isn't that? Am I thinking of the same person?
I mean, maybe. I hadn't heard of that. I don't really follow Dune like that, though. By the way, did you see the just total side note? Did you see the newest Dune? Yeah, definitely. Let me know if that's a real thing. Did you see the recent trailer for Dune? I thought it was pretty whack, actually.
There's a new trailer for Dune.
Yeah, they had like a weird song, man. It was like a really off-putting song.
No, I haven't seen it, which is crazy because I'm like the ultimate Dune nerd. And last time when I watched the first Dune trailer, I cried.
Oh, like the first one's fantastic, but
like
this one I was like, bitch. What the hell?
I just started crying. I was like, it looks so cool.
You know what I saw when I saw that trailer? I thought to myself, they're gonna lose so much money. That's what I thought when I saw it.
Really?
Well, because at the time it was in the middle of the pandemic when we thought Hollywood was over, and I still don't think it'll.
When you saw the trailer,
yeah,
for the
I was
first
like, whoa!
yeah.
I was like, this movie's gonna lose all the monies because it. I mean, they're gonna release it with HBO Max, right? I think that's still on, and I think that the theaters could still be diminished. I don't know how good that.
Well, because like they pushed it to October of 2021, and I feel like we should.
Did
be
they
open.
really?
Well, yeah, because when
I thought it was coming out this year.
Yeah, in October.
Oh, right, yeah.
And like we should be open by then, because like honestly, I was like mad respect when they like released it, and they're gonna be like December 2020, and then the pandy happened. They're like, no, fuck that shit, October 2021. I was like, exactly. I still don't.
I still think it'll be pretty diminished at that point.
I don't know, maybe not. Maybe they just got to start amping up their trailer game. Isn't that trailer game like a algorithm? Like a come on. Studio. Figure it out.
They could probably figure it out. I don't know. For me, I just think that like the Marvel movies are probably going to do decently coming back in. Like I don't even know. I'm interested to see what Black Widow pulls. I'm interested to see what Shang-Chi does. I'm interested because I think Spider-Man's going to be the one. Like Spider-Man's going to be the one where everybody goes out to it. Yeah. But a lot of these other movies, I am really interested to see. You know, I mean. It's gonna be a test.
I was always a little unsure about Dune in general because Dune is weird, bro. It's not for everybody. It's kind of like Blade Runner, right? When they did Blade Runner 2020, whatever.
Yeah, that movie bomb, bro.
But it's just because like it's a weird time. But the people who are into it are like just like vibing super hard. So I think Dune is unfortunately like. I don't think it's gonna get like world class for now, like an MCU movie. It's just not that kind of vibe, bro. It's too fucking weird. But I think pushing it back a year was boss amazing. I refuse to see that movie not in IMAX, so I will be there crying my eyes out.
Yeah, that'll be a good one for me to check out in theaters, honestly, because I won't have to like make content around it, so I can just kind of like go and enjoy it and not feel pressured to like.
Or there's also maybe the factor that we don't know yet, but like I think it's going to be the Roaring Twenties this year.
I agree, but I think that frankly, there's some other factors, like perhaps economic factors, that are not being factored in as much that could lead to some weird
but
things.
it's like the Roaring Twenties happened after the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And I just think that people are out to lose, are just
Look,
money be damned, going to be losing their goddamn minds this year.
I want that to be the case, and I hope that that's the case, but I don't know. The further this goes on into some of the macro indicators I get, I'm like, man, it's not even like the pandy itself might be fine, but like we're having like supply chain issues, friggin' oil pipelines are getting hacked. Like, yo, what the fuck is happening out there? It's like I feel like there could be people saying like, I don't know if I want to go to the movies. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the whole family should go to the movies. Maybe we should just get it at home or watch it on HBO Max for free. You know, I just feel like, I don't know, man. I'm really interested to see how these movies do. I think, I think the Marvel movies are going to be okay, but I don't know if they're going to get back to the numbers they were. Like, what do you think Black Widow's going to make?
Yeah. I also realized, I'm like looking at the chat, I think I got the Great Depression and Roaring Twenties mixed up, but I think that came to my mind.
Yeah, it was actually the Roaring Twenties happened after the other pandemic in 2018, and then we went into the Depression into the 30s. So yes, but we all knew what you meant. Everybody in the chat that's being silly, they're also wrong about Kitty Pryde. Anyway,
you know what? Be gentle with me. I also went through the pandemic. Okay, I'm like sensitive.
But did you break down and eat bread like Gwyneth Paltrow?
Dude, those vagina candles. That bitch is crazy. But anyways, from what my friends have been telling me who like work in bars and like hospitality and nightlife, they're like people are like losing their minds. They're like, now that people are starting to like creep out of their little holes and like come back out into the real world, they're like, it is fucking mayhem. Like people are being so crazy, like so drunk, so reckless, like people just can't control themselves right now. It's been a hot mess out here in these streets, I've heard.
Well, I don't know. That seems I don't know if I'm feeling all that. I don't know if that's gonna necessarily I
don't think it's not a good thing, it's just what's happening.
No, I know, but what don't you think that could possibly, like, what if that actually makes people less like want to go out? You know what I mean? Like there could be like a thing where people are like, man, people are just going wild. I think I'll stick at home. You know, I don't know. Am I crazy?
I think there'll probably be a little bit of that, but I probably think there's also going to be a lot of STDs. People are just going to be crazy.
You know what's funny? They said I think condom purchases went like spiked massively in the last couple of months, because I do think that's probably going to.
People are just like, I'm ready.
Yeah, I think that's totally going to be a
flipping open their dating profiles. Yes,
right?
Yes.
There's a lot of swiping. There's a lot of swiping happening. That's for sure. Well, let's see here. Let's see. I'll grab a couple more questions from the chat, and then we'll probably call it here. Adam from Fanjexer, of course, being mature as always. Let's see here. People are so weird now. Mas says she's agreeing with you about that.
They're just crawling out of their little dungeon, just looking for a little interaction. They'll take anything. They're desperate.
Indeed. There might be some of that going on. Which honestly, like, look, I don't even want to necessarily go here with this, but like we were even considering doing a big event where we were going to have like a big, maybe have people come watch the movie and like rent out like a hotel floor or something. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about what you were saying, I was like, I don't know, man, maybe we want to let people get out there a little bit, get back to normal. Like, I don't know if we can afford the insurance. I
think that's super fair. You should wait like 6 months, let people like integrate. Cause like, if this is the first thing we do post pandy, lives will be at stake.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, I don't really know if that is.
People will go so hard.
Yes, indeed. Let's see here. There's plenty of antibiotics out there for everyone. Says
everyone, we get it. Everyone's just starving for a little bit of people.
Yeah, I get it.
See how it plays out. I'm hoping that translates to theaters. I really do hope that also does just translate to community businesses in general.
I agree. Totally, totally. I think we need that. You know what I mean? I think people need to return to normalcy and all of that. And I think movies could be a big part of that. You know, I've been back and forth on it. Early on in the pandy, I was like, nah, man, it's totally going to change. I don't really think it's coming back at all. But now things have like, it's been so long that I'm like, man, people really want to return to just being out there doing something, having fun. I think movies could come back bigger now that it's kind of been so long in a sense, you know, whereas before it might have been like returning back out, but consumer behavior adjusts slightly and you're not like some of that shit's not as necessary. This is different, dude.
Think about the couples, like married couples with kids that are just like desperate for a tame date night.
True.
We're just like, let's just go to the fucking movies. Just hang out of this goddamn house. Just do something tame outside.
True. Yeah, true. It's an interesting time out there for sure. Anthony says, what do you guys think of the portrayal of Namor is going to be a Black Panther villain or anti-hero? And is there going to be a bigger villain controlling everything? Could be Doom.
About anti-hero.
Yeah, I want him to be anti-hero. I don't want him to kill. I've said this a couple of times, but I don't want him to kill T'Challa, man. That's just a lot of evil to be putting on somebody. You know what I mean?
That's not the Namor I love. The Namor I love is the Namor where you're just like, God damn, Namor, can you just relax, please?
Yeah.
And he's like, I will not relax. And then he comes back and he like plays nice for like 5 seconds and leaves again.
Yeah.
Isn't he in the Illuminati?
Well, he is, and he gets brought in at the moment after Avengers vs. X-Men when T'Challa first joins up too to sort of help with the incursions because they really need him. But he's in the original Illuminati too, I believe. I believe Reed brings him in, but no, it was Doom actually. Doom was someone they wanted to bring in to the Cabal, and he says fuck that, and he's like out of it. So my memory
crazy eyebrow motherfucker just being mean to everybody, doing cool shit every once in a while, but overall just like sliding in to be a dick and then like peacing out and coming back.
Yeah, for sure.
Anti-hero, not villain. I'll be sad if they make him a villain. I'll be like, no, come on. He's good sometimes, kind of.
Yeah, I would be super mad if they gave him that kill on T'Challa, man. It's going to ruin him. People are just not going to be able to forgive him for that.
No, if he kills T'Challa, he will never be forgiven.
Yeah, it's going to suck.
Like, no one will ever get behind him. Like,
and
especially
him and T'Challa have a glorious beef in the late, comic run with leading up to the new Secret Wars. So, like, I would just hate for them to. Yeah, I
vote glorious beef.
Yeah, I'm with that. Matthew K with a $5 hello says, think we ever get OG Hulk again in the MCU, or are we stuck with Professor Hulk? Not that I don't like this version, I just miss the smashing. I miss smashing too. What do you think? You think we're getting smashy Hulk or not?
I hope. Professor Hulk, like, it was cute for the movie, but I think it served the movie, but I'm done with that Hulk. I don't really get if that continues into other movies, I don't really see it being an important part of it. Like, unless they totally change his game up and
I totally agree. No, I totally agree. I think that I want it. I'm confused on whether or not they'll do it. I know he's probably going to be in She-Hulk. It would be great to get him to be Savage. You know, it'd be cool. What if like Red Hulk is a thing, or there's a new threat out there and they need Savage Hulk again? You know what I mean? And they like
Red
need
Hulk
to get him back.
Thunderbolt Ross?
Yes.
Right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sick, dude.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm down for that. Some little Red Hulk action to get that Savage Hulk action back again. I'd like to see both. I want there to be both. Like, if they're going to stick on this Professor Hulk thing, at least bring Savage Hulk back for fun times. Savage Hulk was way more fun.
Agreed.
Way more good times.
Unless he gets Maestro. Oh, the Maestro Hulk would be cool. Bringing that in from like the future could be pretty awesome. Fat Thor, smart Hulk, then Iron Man, old Cap. You could. Planet Hulk was partially adapted in Ragnarok. I mean,
I know, because I'm like
do stuff like that, but
it would take sending him away again.
Yeah, agreed.
Which, like, they've been there and done that.
Yes,
never mind.
Yes.
Yeah, what are they going to do with Hulk, bro? Like, that is.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. I mean, apparently they've had meetings about it. Apparently Mark Ruffalo pitched some stuff. And they could do some cool stuff. I mean, World War Hulk could happen
But
still.
World War Hulk was when he felt like hella slighted, you know?
He felt
like,
hella slighted because of what happens on
Tony
Planet
Stark
Hulk.
and yeah. So like
So
he
it
was
would
coming
have to
back
be
for
different.
revenge.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what the
Well,
fuck
you
are
know
they
what
gonna do with Hulk, bro?
They could multiverse it. Just bring in Savage Hulk from a multiverse. Maybe somebody
True.
does that and brings him in and he goes crazy. That'd be kind of fun. That'd be kind of fun. Let's see here. Grab just a couple of more. Oh, Immortal Hulk is where it's at. I've heard Immortal Hulk is really, really good. I haven't read that full run. I read a little bit of it. It seemed pretty cool. Does anybody know anything about the Heroes Reborn stuff that's going on with Marvel right now? People were saying it's pretty cool. Mike Motherflippin' Porter. I love that you have that in your name, Mike. In my area, it has been open. Restaurants are full, theaters are empty, but there's not a real draw to go to the theaters yet. I think when Fast 9 comes out in June, people will go back. The MCU will be... Yeah, the MCU will be.
To be fair, no movies are out right now. Like, what
True.
would you even see in theaters? Like, me and Dan went to the theaters in New York, and all they had was like Raya and something else, which are all
True.
stuff that's like out on streaming platforms. So it's kind of like it's no real draw.
Yeah, I mean, the big test is going to be these MCU movies, and then some of the other comic book movies, and Fast 9, and some of those blockbusters. It'll be really interesting to see how they perform and what kind of comes back from there. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we're gonna call it there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Darren, anything you going on your private channels or any social media stuff that you want to plug at all before we get on out of here?
No, same shit as always. And people are like, "What's her channel?" It's just me. It's my name as always. Darren Wood. Just Google Darren. If you go to Darren Wood 3 O's on Instagram, I have a link tree. You can go to my Patreon.
Yes.
Go to my Instagram. I do fun cosplays, stuff like that. Most recent one I did was Scarlet Witch, actually.
Ooh.
The OG Scarlet Witch.
Nice.
Pink tights.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. How about that? We're definitely gonna have to do some kind of cosplaying if we ever get.
Dude, we have to do a cosplay stream one of these days for a big thing.
We should absolutely do it. And also there's some fun stuff that we're kind of playing around with for behind the scenes to bring some fun production stuff to the show. I'll tease something out just in front of everybody. I had this idea of you having some kind of version of Cerebro and us doing a thing where like we literally have it and you like put it on and then we do like a transition and you're like and like finding some bit of news or some shit out there. Like, you know what I mean?
love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Stuff like that would be really, really fun.
I love a good headpiece. I swore it in my Scarlet Witch cosplay.
Boom!
That made it work.
We could even do some Scarlet Witch something or other. You know what I mean? But yeah, so we're working on having fun like that. Just a lot of stuff going on the channel. You know what I mean? But
I'm excited for the future.
Yes, definitely. Me too. A lot of good stuff coming our way. So thank you guys again for being here. Darren, thank you.
Thank you.
And as I always say, I hope you out there are having an awesome and a nerdy day.
Nerdy day.
And I'll see you in the next video.